Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's September the 12th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented as always by Life Wallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And Matt Shodell, it is a huge week for the Miami Hurricanes. I don't care about Appalachian State. I don't care about Texas A&M struggling on Saturday. I don't care about them struggling opening week. This is what the Miami Hurricanes have. This is the week. This is the first signature week of the Mario Cristobal era at Miami. And this trip to College Station on Saturday is huge. So I wanted to start off today, just get the week going, and let's talk a little bit about that. Okay. The betting line has come out. And quite frankly, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I think the Canes are getting disrespected a little bit. I mean, they're 6-point underdogs to a Texas A&M team that has not played well so far this season. But what that tells us, Matt, is that the odds makers out in Vegas, the people that crunch the computers, have not been overly blown away by what they've seen of Miami either. And if things had gone well for Texas A&M earlier this season, they probably would have been at least a 10-point favorite in this game. Now there are 6. Do they have it right, or are they sleeping on Miami a little bit?
The worst thing that ever could have happened for the Miami Hurricanes was to play a pretty bad first half against a bad team and then watch the team that they could have beaten to make everyone in the country stand up and go, wow, look terrible in every aspect of the game. Run defense. They can't pass the ball. They couldn't even run the ball with supposedly one of the best running backs in the country. I mean, against App State, it was a horrible weekend. I don't know what was worse, them not having the coffee cake donuts or what happened with Texas A&M, because how excited would the Miami Nation have been, Gary, if we played Texas A&M last weekend and we did to Texas A&M what App State did to Texas A&M? I mean, it would have been like the greatest thing ever. Mario Cristobal is the savior. We would have had the best week in the history probably since I caught 50 stone crab claws a few years ago. It would have been the best weekend since then.
And now if they don't do it,
App State,
it's a total failure. You're not as good as App State.
Listen, Miami doesn't play App State, but App State ruined the Miami Hurricane season.
They might have, man. It's like all you can do.
Exaggeration.
Well, we'll see how this plays out.
And what I was going to say was we've seen this before, right? Good teams, heck, great teams, sometimes lose to average. And guess what? App State's not that bad, but they lose to average to below average teams, non-Power 5 teams. It happens, especially early in the season. It doesn't mean that Miami should beat Texas A&M by 21 touchdowns. If Miami beats Texas A&M by 1 point, no matter how ugly it is, every Miami fan out there should be celebrating. Okay?
I agree.
I agree. Listen, the bottom line to me, Miami has to look good. And if they do lose, just don't lose by a lot. And that's progress, right? Because everyone's acting like this is, when they played a terrible first half, some people are posting, bring Manny Diaz back. I know they're joking. But the point is, it's Manny Diaz's team. I keep trying to tell people this. It's a 60% plus roster full of Manny Diaz recruits. You can't fix that with 30 to 40 practices over a 9-month span. That's just not how the real world works. And it's okay for it to be a process. I keep telling people, give it 2 to 4 years, not 2 games, 2 to 4 years. And everyone in the modern society wants this immediate results. Everyone's looking at Instagram, Twitter, and I have not posted on my personal Twitter account ever. Somehow I have 100-something followers. I refuse to post. But my point being, everyone wants immediate gratification. They want their coffee cake donuts, and they're acting like the coffee cake donuts were sold out when Miami doesn't play a good first half with a Manny Diaz dominated roster, man. Give me a break. If that's negative, I don't think it is, but that's just reality, bro.
If they don't go to College Station and play well, then it's a total failure. I mean, it's because of the perception that was created by Appalachian State on Saturday.
I disagree about it being a total failure because, again, it comes back to, and this is why I want everyone, I said before the season, please, Miami fans, expect 8 wins. And if you get 9 or 10, be happy. And if you get 8, you say, well, it was a Manny Diaz roster and Mario's building it. It's okay. It's okay to lose to a Texas A&M team full of 4 and 5 stars that lost to App State. Texas A&M entered the App State game.
App State.
What?
They lost at home to App State.
Yeah, but Texas A&M, they went into that game thinking we're saving stuff for Miami, just like Miami played its first 2 games, right? Don't show too much. I think Texas A&M has a new defensive coordinator, right? So it's along the lines of we got to save some stuff. And when you get in that first half dogfight, sometimes it's not easy to pull out of that tailspin, and they couldn't do it. And it was shocking, quite frankly, because I'd already done my research, like I had told all of you out there. I had to rewrite all of my preview stories based on one game after the second game. But when I was researching the team, the secondary I had already written to myself was one of the best in the country, and it is. I mean, they're averaging, I think, allowing 125 yards a game right now through the 2 games. The linebackers are iffy, but not bad. They're probably about the same level as Miami's, but they play 2 linebackers, not 3. I believe it's a 4-2-5 base. And then the front line lost every single starter from last year. It takes time for young guys to gel, and even returners who are playing with different guys to gel. They have not gelled, but they will gel. And I don't know if this loss will be the impetus to have them come together. And instead of playing individually, which they were doing, by the way, last game, if you watch that game closely enough, you see defensive linemen just freelancing and leaving huge gaps. And the same thing at the second level. The only strong part of that defense last game against App State was the secondary. And App State was very smart. They time and time again, they took advantage of it, whether it's misdirections or just blowing guys up at the line. And I think, unfortunately for Miami, this could have been the wake-up call for some of these Texas A&M defensive linemen to realize, oh, wait a minute, I got to stop playing for NIL money and start playing to, try and help this team win some games and do what I'm supposed to do in the system, even if that's not trying to burst into the backfield every tackle a la Jalen Phillips in the bowl game. And I just hold my ground and let the linebacker get into that gap between me and the guy next to me, whatever it may be. What those guys were doing wrong in this game, if you believe the Texas A&M staff's a terrible staff, it won't be fixed. I happen to believe they are a good staff. They're going to fix a lot of these issues. So I hope Miami doesn't come into this game thinking, oh, we'll just do what App State did. We have a similar offensive line. We have a good enough running attack that we can run similar things, and, we'll just go with that. Because I have a bad feeling that if Josh Gaddis does that, it's what Texas A&M is expecting. App State came into that game and did a lot of things that I think surprised Texas A&M. And it wasn't that App State was better physically than Texas A&M. It wasn't that App State had better athletes than Texas A&M. There isn't one starter on App State who would be a second-team guy at Texas A&M. So Miami needs to sort of understand, look at the App State film, but don't use too much of it. I really hope they don't. I think that'd be a big mistake.
Well, another team that did things this weekend that weren't quite expected was Southern Miss, which was giving Miami fits for a half, Matt. We get to hear a little bit of the inside story behind things that happened in the game, which the fans out there don't always get to see when they're just watching the game live or on TV. And there were some subplots that were taking place in the first half. Obviously the Miami defense is coming out thinking we got to stop Frank Gore, period. Okay. And they did that. I think he had 10 yards rushing in the game. Okay. So they accomplished that on steroids. All right. But what they probably were not counting on was Southern Miss coming out and attacking their corners with deep balls the whole first half, some of which they hit. So that was a little bit of a curveball that was thrown into the equation in the first half on Saturday. The other one was that after months of preparation for Southern Miss by the staff and a week of preparation by the team for this game, Southern Miss comes out and starts playing coverages that they have never shown before. And I think Mario Cristobal said it was about 50% of their coverages was new stuff that Miami was not prepared for, had not seen before. And we're watching the game, and we're seeing Tyler Van Dyke not looking like Tyler Van Dyke. He's holding the ball longer than he normally does. He's putting it in danger. Could have had 2 or 3 interceptions the other day. The Miami passing game in general was having a hard time in the first half getting going. And at the time, because we're just watching the game, we didn't understand that the big part of the problem was that Southern Miss was confusing Tyler Van Dyke because they were switching up all their coverages and doing things that he hadn't prepared for all week. Fantastic coaching by Southern Miss. Give them credit. It allowed them to be in the game through halftime. But the coaches go in, they make adjustments on both sides of the ball, and you saw an entirely different second half. Defense totally shut them down, 0 points. The offense decided they had a choice, okay? They could try to make all these adjustments in their passing game with all the different passing plays that they had in the game plan, or they could say, you know what? We trained to be a physical football team this fall, and we are going to ground and pound the ball and get out of here with a victory and move on to next week. And that's what they did. And you know what? It wasn't as good. It wasn't good enough for some people. There was a lot of people rattled by this performance, but I thought it was good, Matt. I thought it was good that they went through all that. I thought it was good that they had to have a gut check. Thought it was good that the coaches had to make adjustments. Thought it was good they made the right adjustments. Now you're 2-0. You're going to Texas A&M with momentum. I don't see any negatives. Your thoughts?
You don't see any negatives? What planet are you living on,
I see
bro?
0 negatives in that whole experience. Look.
So you think it
this way. Wait a minute, and then you say what you're going to say. These other teams have coaches, okay, that are good coaches. Miami is not a team without weaknesses, okay? They're going to find the weaknesses. They're going to figure out ways to use their talent to exploit them. This is not going to be the last time this season that Miami does not look great in the first half of a football game. Mark my words. And, I think sometimes we just don't give the other team enough credit. Southern Miss did a good job on Saturday. All right. You got the floor.
Oh.
Go for it.
You're that guy who in chess, you take the corner pawn and you move it up 2 as your first move. You're that guy. Okay? Because in a chess match, which a lot of people equate football to chess, the other team comes in and they do something and you answer. And it shouldn't take you. I mean, nothing against Josh Gaddis. He's a great coordinator. But I still haven't got an answer for why it took him almost an entire half to explain to Tyler Van Dyke and the offense, here's what they're doing. Here's our answer. It shouldn't have taken, how many minutes would that be? 30, 28 minutes. It shouldn't take 28 minutes to get that answer of game time. I'm sorry. It should take a series or 2, at most 2 series, for an offensive coordinator to say, this is what they're doing. Tell Tyler, because he's upstairs, tell Tyler, here's what we're doing now to counteract it. And they never did it. They never did it. That bothered me. But
that's a legit point you're making. Legit point.
Against
Make
a good
the
team,
adjustments quicker.
Against a good team, that's a big problem. And maybe Josh Gaddis figured, okay, we're just bigger and stronger. We'll just keep doing what we're doing because it should work. Look, anything should work when you're bigger, stronger, and faster than the opponent. That might have been Josh Gaddis' attitude, and he said, I don't want to show too much. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. That could have been why. I'm not sure. We'll talk to Josh Gaddis later today. Now, as for the super back offense, I did think it was brilliant by Southern Miss to show the roadmap for every other team Miami's going to play, which is with a backup quarterback. And by the way, the starting quarterback's not even a good passer. This is the guy who plays behind him. This backup quarterback was not even good enough. I think he passed through 1 interception on 1 play of the game before, and they just started using the running backs as the quarterback from there on forward the previous game after the starter got hurt, okay? That's who the backup quarterback is. He comes into this game, and I'm sure their plan initially was, let's just start him, see how it goes. But the plan probably was Frank Gore Jr. in the Wildcat, throwing passes like he did last year and running the ball and running the show. However, what they saw on film and the roadmap that every other team now has is that anyone not named Tyreek Stevenson, who's left on an island one-on-one, just throw it up. Throw it up against Darryl Porter. He'll just let you jump over him. Throw it up against DJ Ivey. He'll never turn his head around, and if he does, he'll turn it back immediately and just watch the receiver catch the ball. Throw it up against Malik Curtis when they're desperate and put him in for a couple of plays and burn him twice in a row. I mean, I don't like what I saw. I know you said it's fine. Like, not fine for me because I understand it's a process. I want the team to get better. But to say in game 2 with what we saw that everything's fine, I would respectfully disagree with that.
I didn't say everything was fine. I said I was okay with the way it played out because I thought there was, it provides valuable experiences. It's okay to go through some adversity, and it's okay to have to fight your way out of it. I think it builds a better team, and I didn't have any issues with that whatsoever. You're making a legitimate point about the speed of making adjustments, and this is something that really, I've wondered about for many, many, many years. Really, all the time that I've covered football, because there's always a lot of conversation and a lot of focus on halftime adjustments. We hear halftime adjustments. We made adjustments at halftime. We hear it all the time. The question I have, which you obviously have as well, is why do you have to wait till halftime to make adjustments? Now, in the NFL, when you watch NFL football, you notice that they're sitting there and they've got all these blue tablets on the sideline, and it allows them to replay the plays on a screen on the sideline and make adjustments in during commercial breaks, in between series, things like that. They don't have the benefit of that technology in college football. And a good question is, I wonder if they're allowed to have it. They must not be, because nobody has it, not even else. So you must not be allowed to have those devices on the sideline in college football. But in the NFL, they make adjustments very quickly because they have that technology of being able to watch replays on the sideline and say, hey, this is what these guys did. This is what you need to do to adjust to it. But it did take till late in the second quarter when Miami got untracked a little bit. Even that series where they scored before the half was not picture perfect by any stretch. And you go into halftime and you're in a real football game. You are in a 10-7 football game that is a real deal situation that you have to manage. And they managed it well. And that's why I walked away from it feeling okay with it, because they went through it. They managed it well. I hope it stands them in good stead as they move forward through the season, beginning with Saturday night in College Station, where I agree with you, Matt. Again, I can't believe it, that this is not going to be a walk in the park just because these guys lost to Appalachian State. If anything, they're going to be a more focused team because they lost to Appalachian State, because Jimbo Fisher is going to work the daylights out of it in practice this week and try to make sure that he brings a team better prepared to the stadium on Saturday. There's a lot of, they expect to win there, and, there's some pressure on them this week. So it's going to be a very interesting week. We'll have a ton of coverage. It starts this morning with Mario Cristobal. Mario will be having his press conference in a little bit. That will add more to what we have on the website this morning. We'll talk to Josh Gaddis today. We'll talk to Kevin Steele today. And then we have a bunch of other stuff on the website as well, which I will go through here right now. And it starts with all of our coverage coming out of the game on Saturday. If you haven't seen it all, I encourage you to do so. Obviously we analyze just about everything that went on in that game, how it was, tale of two halves. We grade the players. We have opinion columns. I wrote about how when the script went astray, the Canes fell back on the physicality of their training. And that goes back to what Mario Cristobal has put a strong emphasis on: being physical, good play at the line of scrimmage. He fortified the defensive line position in the transfer portal. Offensive line was made stronger in the portal as well, but they're primarily playing with guys that were in the program already, who are a little older now, and they're trying to make them better players. But in all, they've had a very physical camp. They had a very physical offseason. And when they needed to be physical in the game, Matt, on Saturday, they were up to the task.
Yeah, I mean, I wish you hadn't asked me about that, because I didn't love it either. I don't love the mentality that hey, things aren't going real well, where, we've got a late touchdown after their quarterback, for some reason, ran out of bounds a yard short of the first down marker. Am I remembering that right? It feels like it was a year ago. So, you're up by, I guess it was 3 at halftime. And then they come out in the third quarter and they say, look, we're playing a team that's got not very physical. Let's just run the ball down their throats, which they did for 2 straight series, almost entirely running series, and scored 2 touchdowns, which is great. It's great for the offensive line. It's great for the running backs. It's not great for Matt Shodell because Matt Shodell wants to see a diversified offense that's practicing playing against great teams. That's not saying, well, let's just, not even really do anything except run between the tackles because we know we have the advantage in the interior line. Strength-wise, we'll get our 3, 4, 5 yards, break a few here and there. That's not the Matt Shodell offense. It's honestly, my son goes to Wisconsin. I watched some of the Wisconsin game. It's like watching that offense, those 2 series, just much more successful because they're not playing Washington State. I don't think it's good for a team to learn how to play offense just by handing the ball off every single down.
The running game is part of football.
But what I don't want is when Mario Cristobal and Josh Gattis get in trouble next time against a good team, it's just run the ball. Like, in a close game. Like, that's not for me, man.
The answer in that situation could be the opposite, Matt. Maybe Texas A&M. Wait a minute. Maybe Texas A&M loads up on Saturday and doesn't let them run the ball, and they have to. And their adjustment has to be, well, we came in here looking to run the ball because that's what App State did. Now we have to throw it. It's adjustments.
What I was trying to say was I don't like the mentality that we're in trouble, let's just rely on the run, because I feel like my perception going into the season was that's what they were going to do. And I didn't want that because I don't think this team's strength is the running game, but I got the feeling, and I've said it before in the show, I get the feeling that Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal and Josh Gattis think the strength of the offense is the run game. And until they realize that Tyler Van Dyke is their strength, I'm not thrilled because I think it's going to cost them a game or two.
The first half.
Sorry?
He was struggling. He was not their strength in the first half.
I don't care because if you're
struggling.
Okay, you're not understanding. If you can't rely on Tyler Van Dyke to beat Southern Miss with his arm in that game, it doesn't matter what else you do this season. You're not beating the great teams running the ball down their throats with his offensive line. I'm sorry. Like, Tyler Van Dyke's the guy you go to when you're in trouble, not the running game. That's what I didn't love. I understand you're going to win the game. I understand you're going to win the game by running the ball every single time or 80% of the time, those 2 drives. I get it. I just would have liked to see them understand we're in a close game. We're in a dogfight. Tyler, take the offense on your back. You can adjust plays at the line as whatever they like to do that way. But call a game where they're mixing 50-50 run pass, not 70% run. That's all.
Southern Miss was throwing coverages at them that they collectively, not just Tyler and the receivers, were not prepared for. So they would have had to do massive adjustments.
So when that happens again against a great team, Gary, you just run the ball because you can't figure out the coverage schemes?
Matt, he threw an interception. He was close to 3 interceptions in the first half.
So you let him figure out and gain some confidence that, hey, I didn't understand it, now I do.
But they felt it would be better to run the ball. And they ended up being right.
Of course they ended up being right.
They won the game going away. They won the second half 20-0.
Of course they were right. They're playing Southern Miss. All I'm saying is I would have loved to see them pretend they were playing a real team and actually practice like it was a real team and do what they will do against a real team that shows them those looks instead of, oh my God, what do we do now? We can't run the ball.
Notre Dame was just playing
we don't understand the coverages.
Notre Dame was just playing Marshall Saturday. Texas A&M was just playing App State. Nebraska was just playing Georgia Southern. I mean, these teams, there's plenty of teams with name recognition in college football that are losing to teams like Southern Miss.
Yeah, if you can't win,
we get into the habit of just penciling in W's, but it's not that simple, as you know. And I don't think you have to apologize for how you win a ball game. I mean, sometimes it's the right thing to do is run the ball. Sometimes the thing to do is pass the ball. And I think they were trying to pass the ball the whole first half, and it wasn't working, and they weren't scoring, and they were losing the game. All the way up until the last couple minutes of the first half, and they had to go into
and the problem is they never solved that issue. That bothers me. I'm sorry, it doesn't bother you.
They didn't even try to solve it. I agree.
That bothers me. That's all I'm saying.
They took the least complicated path towards dominance, which was We are more physical than this team. We have a good ground game. We have good running backs. We can run Henry Parrish and Thad Franklin, and we can get out of here with a 20-point victory.
Yeah.
And I'll take that any time.
If you want to win one game against this particular team, just run the ball the whole game, which is basically what they did in the second half until it was already out of control score-wise. Again, if you can't beat Southern Miss by mixing up your offense and letting Tyler Van Dyke throw the ball, you probably don't deserve to win the game. I mean, I understand how you look at it and how the coaches look at it. We're just trying to win one game. I'm not trying to win one game as a Miami reporter, and if I was a Miami fan, which I am, but I
want to know this week, baby.
I'm trying to develop this offense because I'm not sure about my defense now. I'm trying to develop my offense where it can do anything against anyone, and you're dictating to the defense what they need to do. How many times do we keep seeing these defenses dictate to Miami? You can't throw on us because we're giving you a coverage you don't understand. Like, I'm sick of it, man. We got $8 million coaches. We got people on the sidelines now who aren't even coaches that are called analysts. They're littering the sidelines. Like, there's more analysts on the sidelines than garbage cans. And they still can't, figure out how to beat Southern Miss's unbelievable coverage scheme. It can't be solved. It's like one of these Pythagorean theorems that a 6-year-old has to try to figure out. Come on, man. What are you laughing at? It's true.
I'm speechless. Listen, I don't think that because they chose the running game as the path to victory on Saturday means they can't go to College Station this Saturday and choose the passing game as the path to victory. One of the good things about this team is they can do both. They can run and they can pass. They've had a lot of early success running the ball, which nobody would have predicted. We would have thought that Tyler Van Dyke, on his 6-game streak of 300-yard passing games, would just continue it and would be throwing the ball all over the place. But we saw the warning signs in training camp because the receivers were struggling, and the passing game was not the same as it was with Rambo and Harley running around out there. And, it's total common sense that it's taking them time to get really synced up throwing the football. So we'll see, man. I just hope they can keep building on it. I don't have if they're able to run the ball Saturday at College Station and win the game running the ball by 1 point, I think that's good enough.
I agree. Listen, I agree with that. If you win the ball by 1 point, no matter what, I agree. But this is against a good team, right? That's what I'm saying. Against this. I know you think they would have lost to Southern Miss if they had kept throwing the ball. At least that's what I'm hearing from you, Gary. I disagree. I think they would have won, and I just would have liked to see it. Show me you solved it. Show me you figured out the coverage. Show me that Texas A&M cannot do the same thing that mighty Southern Miss did to you. That's all I'm asking for.
All right, we got more stories to talk about. But first, let's hear from our friends at Life Wallet, and I'm going to play Matt Shodell's favorite commercial of Saturday.
Hey, Jordan, are you feeling all right?
Hey, you sure you good, man?
Hey man, how you feeling?
I feel really dizzy.
Do you have Life Wallet?
I do have Life Wallet.
Program activated.
Hey, Jordan, you all right?
Actually, I'm great because I have my Life Wallet.
So here's what I don't understand about that commercial. Does he actually die and then he's in heaven with Life Wallet? Because he looks pretty bad on the stretcher, and then all of a sudden he pops up like he's in a new reality, and he's like, I'm great now. Did he die and go to heaven? I don't understand what happened. Why is he fine? Life Wallet's an app. It doesn't cure a heart attack, does it? Am I misunderstanding? Does Life Wallet cure a heart condition? What am I missing? I don't understand that commercial.
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to check with the scriptwriter on that. I just like the commercial, man. You got athletes from 3 different sports, I mean, it's NIL personified. Okay, I mean, it's awesome.
True.
All right, so we've got tons of coverage from the Southern Miss game, and anybody that missed any of that, you can catch that on the site. I do want to talk though, Matt, because I thought this was one of the more interesting stories we had the entire week, and that was the breakdown of the Pro Football Focus grades coming out of the Southern Miss game, and all the different nuances that showed up there. Why don't you talk about that for a little bit, and just what you gleaned from that heavy analysis of the PFF grades?
Yeah, sure. So PFF stands for Pro Football Focus. Gary put me in charge of breaking down the Pro Football Focus grades this year. This is the second time I've done it. Gary probably doesn't know this, but I just make up the numbers just based on what I think I saw, and I just write like some lead stuff because I don't have time to actually research the real numbers, But in reality, me making up the numbers might be a little closer to what Miami coaches would agree with if you ask them about some of these numbers. But Pro Football Focus is actually really good. They have one initial analyst who goes through, and they have another analyst who checks behind him, going through every single rep. And then we go on their site and grab their information and twist it to our fancy. And in this case, I just gleaned a few different sort of interesting things out of it. And it's pretty easy if you look at the story. I mean, you can see who graded at the best, and it's usually not a surprise. Xavier Restrepo above 80, which is elite. The only one above 80 at receiver. Defense, there was very few guys that nobody graded out above 80 that played a meaningful amount of reps. But, James Williamson, 79.6, playing 50 reps. That's pretty elite to me. He played a great game, obviously. And then some of the analysis we did that I'll just go to one of them, which I found the more interesting one, was because we've been talking about the run game. So I wanted to take a look at if this is actually a better run blocking offensive line or a better pass blocking offensive line, just based on the Pro Football grades, which may or may not be that accurate, but I just figured it's at least some sort of metric that we can use to figure out, hey, is this Miami offensive line going to be better for Tyler Van Dyke throwing the ball or for these guys running behind it? And I'll preface it by saying that the yards after contact for Henry Parrish and Jalen Knighton is as good as they've looked. Those, Henry Parrish in particular, since Jalen didn't play that much, not real good. Not real good. You want to be at 3 yards after contact on average, and they're not close. So that needs to get better. But in terms of the offensive line itself, it's almost confusing. They've played 2 games, okay? So I went back and looked at the first game. And in the first game against Bethune, except for one starting offensive lineman, the other 4 all graded out better as run blockers. And it was almost the exact reverse. And we show you the numbers to back it up. It was almost the exact reverse against Southern Miss. And then I started thinking, why? And then I realized, Bethune-Cookman is a bunch of, not top level compared to even Southern Miss. Like Southern Miss would beat Bethune-Cookman by 30, So they're just totally physically overmatched. So
how do you know that? Texas A&M would beat App State by 30.
Because last year in the final game, Bethune-Cookman played Southern Miss and lost by 30.
Notre Dame is going to beat Marshall by 30.
I just made that up. Bethune-Cookman is not as good as Southern Miss. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that, okay? If I was an odds maker, the line would be 20 plus, all right? Anyway, Bethune-Cookman, the point is, when you look at these grades, this is what you can glean. The grades reflect how good your opponent is, basically. If you're an offensive lineman in college and you're playing some high school guy, like you're going to grade out at 90 plus, but just because you could shove him wherever you want. And that's basically what they did against Bethune. And then you play Southern Miss, and you can sort of see that when you grade out better as a pass blocker than a run blocker in general, okay, it means you have a little more agility. It doesn't mean you have that physicality, okay? Because it means you get back in your pass set pretty quick. You get your hands where you need to. You have good coordination. Run blocking, you're just bulldozing the guy forward, man. You got to have great lower body strength. Just picture a big, strong guy who just gets your hands inside your pads and just shoves you back, So the fact that they graded up better as pass protectors and run blockers in the Southern Miss game, I think that's more of an indication than the Bethune game. I think this is a better pass blocking offensive line. And I think if you asked most of the offensive linemen in private, where you said it's not going to come out in public, I think they would agree with that. I think they're more comfortable as pass blockers. And that's, again, troubling when you see an offensive system that seems to want to rely on the run in every tough situation, whether it's 3rd and 1 with those runs up the middle, or whether you're only up by 3 points, we're just going to pound the ball because this is how you win a football game. You got to be physical. We've been coaching you all off season. Aaron Feld has been hitting you with his mustache in the back, lashing you every time you miss a rep. Like, this is what we were built to do, guys. Go and do it. But maybe they're not really built for that yet. Maybe that's the goal in 2 to 4 years. I don't think they're there yet. And again, every indication I get from everything I see and know about this team is they should try to win games against really good teams through the air. That's what I believe. Call me crazy. We're going to find out probably starting this Saturday. Maybe Matt Shodell will be wrong for once. We'll know on well, it won't be Saturday anymore. It'll be Sunday morning at around 1 a.m.
Yeah, this is going to be a late one for sure. All right, so we have a couple of recruiting stories also to talk about here real quick. We have a story with Connor Lew, the Miami commit. He's an offensive lineman from Georgia. He came to town for the Southern Miss game and talked to us about how he feels like family here and a lot of different elements of, just what's going through his head these days. It's a really good story. Make sure you check that out. We also have a story about Hollywood Chaminade defensive back Edwin Joseph. It was looking to us like he might commit to Miami over the weekend. To our knowledge, that did not take place, but we do think Miami's in a good place there, and that commitment could be coming soon. We've got an update on him. And then we also talked to a whole bunch of Miami recruits and asked for their score predictions about the game this weekend against Texas A&M. And you want to be sure to check that out too. All right. As we mentioned earlier, today we got a lot of stuff coming at you, a lot of daytime content drops. We'll have Mario Cristobal midday. We'll have Josh Gaddis. We'll have Kevin Steele. So make sure you're on the website, middle of the day. We'll bring all that stuff to you in addition to everything that we just got done talking about, everything that was on our site over the weekend. It's an enormous amount of content. We hope that those of you who are subscribing to our website are enjoying it. If you are not yet a subscriber, please, please, please take advantage of our introductory special. It was part of our deal in moving our website to the On3 network, was that every Miami fan would get their first year of CaneSport.com, the new CaneSport.com, for $1. The special is still there. You still have time to join us at that introductory rate. Your subscriptions make everything that we do every single day possible. So hopefully we can get your support and have everybody come together as subscribers on CaneSport.com. Also need you to hit your subscribe button here, hit your like button. Helps us with YouTube and the algorithms. And we would appreciate if you would do that. And lastly, we appreciate you starting out your day with us. Once again, hope you've enjoyed your commute to work or your morning. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Have a great day, everybody. And we'll see you on this show tomorrow morning. We'll see you on the website all day long as we continue to drop content your way. Have a great day, everyone.